Park. We are all set for the feature race in the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship after a debut victory yesterday for Luke Stapleford in the sprint race. It turned into a super sprint in the Supersports, just 6 laps for Stapleford to claim victory. He did so ahead of Jake Dixon in his debut appearance on the Smiths Triumph. Impressive stuff from Jake Dixon in his debut appearance with the team, and they're lining up on the grid now ahead of the feature race. Let's go straight across to James Hayden.
Thanks, Matt. I'm actually back on row 6, so I thought we've got Guy Martin here. We've got to have a word with him, haven't we? Guy, we don't normally see you on the short circuit stuff, but how's it going?
We were just saying, I need a bloody haircut.
Looking good.
I only realise when I get racing, I can't see out my helmet. I only realised that a couple of days ago. Oh, shit, I need to get my haircut.
How are you finding the Triumph?
How am I finding what?
The Triumph?
Oh, it's a treat. Yeah, it's a treat. Yeah, we haven't really changed anything with it. It's loads better than me at the minute. I just think it's a bit different to ride. To what I've been riding before, it's just... it's obviously it's mega, but it's just very. It's not very different. The throttle's on the right. It's the same sort of thing. It's just it's take a bit of getting used to. But it's a treat.
What's the aim for the race then?
Get to the end, I think.
Get to the end. All right, well, we wish you luck. Guy Martin there, he's going to be always an interesting one, but we're going to have to cut a little bit through just because we are well back on row 6. So let's cut a little bit through to the front. We're going to go past James Rispoli, so we'll grab a little word with him because he's always good value. James, bit of work to do from here, but you'll be right, won't you?
Yeah, we got the elbow sharpened. We're ready to get to the front. We've got a nice straight launch out here, so I mean, the weather's just awesome, and let's just have at it.
Okay, well, good luck, James Rispoli. Let's cut through again. We're going to miss just the next couple of rows. Oh, the cameraman nearly goes flying. But listen, we've also got a little bit more wind. The weather's good, but now we're getting into the meat of it, the first 2 rows. So we're going to have a word with Ben Wilson. Ben Wilson obviously coming back. Such a man in this class. Always looks serious. I'm always scared to talk to you, Ben. How's it going?
Yeah, it's getting there. You know, we've had last year was one to forget really for me, but yesterday was making progress in the right direction, and yeah, seems to be going better than what we did last year. So,
is it nice to be back on the 600s again?
Yeah, it's definitely seems to be my class, and you know, I'm not going to give up on Superbike, but it just didn't happen for me last year, and you know, the aim is to put it all. I've got unfinished business in this class, and I just need to prove what I can do.
Okay, well, best of luck for the race. Okay, next to him, Glenn Irwin. And I think Glenn Irwin, his teammate last year, proved very, very quick, and he's definitely going to be another man for the title. He's in the zone. Glenn, good race yesterday. Feeling good for today?
Yeah, it was a really tough race, James. Unfortunately, we've struggled for a bit of a setup this weekend. I've never been able to say it with a gear like Kawasaki, but a few new components, and we're just learning a bit. But yeah, I really fought for it yesterday. I can't fight the gap for 18 laps, so we've made more improvements where hopefully we can fight to win the race rather than holding guys off, because I don't want to be scraping the 3rd place. I want to win races and win this championship, so that's what we're going to try to do anyway. Okay,
well, okay, good luck there, Glenn. You can see serious pumped. But now let's have we've got to have a word with Andy Reid, teammate of James Smoley. Well, Keith Flint, I'm just going to sort of squeeze in here somewhere. Andy, we've got to have a word with you, front row of the grid. That's not bad in your second Supersport race, is it?
Yeah, it's good to be on the front row of the Supersport. Very tough class, you know. Everyone's fast and had to push your way through, and it's hard to get the lap time in the race. Everyone's just so erratic in the race, you know. It's hard to get that flowing lap time in, and that's, I know it's rich coming from me saying that, like, but you know, it's good. We're on the front row. We'll hopefully make a good start and be on the rostrum at the end.
I'm sure you will. You're in the right position for it. Good luck. And we've got to have a word with his team boss there. Look at that. Keith Flint from the Prodigy, always looking good.
Hey, how you doing? All right?
Yeah, good. Your man's doing well, isn't he? Well, yeah. Both you boys.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's nice to be looking at, you know, front row of the grid. It's a nice place to be. Yeah, really buzzing, still buzzing from Joe's result as well, Joe Francis, you know, so, yeah, really, you know, there's over the winter, you know what it's like, so much work goes into it. And to be up here and have the lads and
team ownership seems to be suiting you well.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. It doesn't suit the bank balance so well, but hey, it's just all about the boys.
Keith, good luck. Okay, let's cut through. We just got not much time left, so we've got Luke Stapleford. Remember, he took his first win yesterday in a great style in that sprint race. He's definitely going to be a man to watch in this one as well. But we've got to also have a word with the pole man. Jake, on pole, second race on the Smiths Triumph. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? just need to have a good race now and get some solid points, because that's what counts at the end of the day. That's towards a championship, and we definitely got a good chance of having that because we've got the best team out here. So.
Okay, well, Jake, good luck. I know he's got to get ready now. So that's it. As you can see, a packed grid, stuffed full of some of the best riders in the country. And unlike yesterday when it was a short sprint, this one's going to be the proper thing. I can't wait. Matt, it's back to you.
Thanks, James. We can't wait either. Some real young talent out there on the grid, and a bit of Ulster pride at stake as well, I think, between Andy Reid and Glenn Irwin as well. It's got the ingredients for another cracker, James, today.
Absolutely, and the pair of those Ulstermen, hard riders.
Yeah,
neither of them
want
want
to the best of friends either, are they?
I think they've got respect for each other, but they certainly want to beat each other. But the man of the moment for me is Jake Dixon.
Yeah,
really clicked with that triumph, and he just looks the part on it.
We can have a little look, actually, James, at what happened yesterday in the sprint race. It was only 6 laps, but Dixon looked as though he was really coming on strong at the end, which bodes well for him in the feature race today.
Absolutely, got the quickest lap and just started to believe in himself a little bit, you know. And there's him dipping underneath, I think, Wilson. Yeah, that's back 7. That's Jake Dixon. Just dipped underneath Wilson into the S's, and looking really good. And you know, running off line and still not losing speed. That's Wilson diving straight. That's typical Wilson move. He'll come straight back at you, even if it costs a pair of your time. But good kid, Jake Dixon.
He coped well. He coped well with Ben Wilson, which is a good benchmark of where he needs to be.
Absolutely.
He's come so close to the championship, as he alluded to with James on the grid there, didn't he, Ben Wilson? But let's talk about Luke Stapleford as well. Debut win for him yesterday. Got the monkey off his back now. He's been close in the past. He's looking good as well.
Really is. He's taken a long time coming. He's been really quick in this class for a long time, as Luke, and nobody deserves it more. He really does deserve it. He's been quick enough to be doing this for the last season and a half. Really good family, good lad, and a dead pleased for him. I think with another lap, I think it might have been a little bit of a different story, because Jake Dixon was better on the brakes, and that's what counts if you want to win around here.
And I think probably the other man we're all really looking forward to seeing in this race, James, is Kyle Ryde. Showed it well. 17 years old, Supersport debut yesterday, and he's looking the part already, isn't he?
Absolutely. Clever lad. 17, comes down here. He's had his arms all taped up because he says he got a little bit of arm pump with having to pull the clutch in a lot of times, going down the gearbox into all these slower corners at the end of the lap. But a great lad. And he's just laid back and confident, and look to him to be looking for a rostrum in this race now.
He's laid back, he's confident, but he also, when we spotted him actually as we left the circuit last night, and he looked a bit annoyed that he wasn't on the podium. He wasn't happy to be.
He wants it now.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's got the potential and the pace to do it. Let's find out if he can. We're all set for the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship feature race here at Donington Park, so let's join James Hayden and Jack Burton.
Yesterday's race saw Luke Stapleford victorious ahead of Jake Dixon and Glenn Irwin, and then it was Kyle Ryde, Andy Reid, Ben Wilson, Joe Collier, Dean Hipwell, Marshall Neal and Jamie Perrin in that top 10. 3 Evo bikes in that top 10. Joe Collier leading the way for the Haribo Star Mix team, 7th overall, ahead of veteran Irishman Marshall Neal and young Jamie Perrin. However, the grid is decided, of course, on fastest laps from that race. The current standings after 1 of 24 races, Stapleford goes 25 points for that race win ahead of Jake Dixon and Glenn Irwin. Kyle Ryde gets 13 points for 4th place ahead of his old rival from last year in the stock 600s, Andy Reid. And Ben Wilson, back in the class that he loves, gets 10 points for 6th. The starting grid then is headed by Jake Dixon. He set the fastest lap of the race on the Smith's Triumph on his way through the pack to 2nd place. Race winner Luke Stapleford starts from 2nd place on the Profile Racing Triumph, and Andy Reid gets his nose in third place on the TTC bike, the TTC Yamaha, ahead of Kyle Ryde on the Track Days Pace Days bike. And then we've got Glenn Irwin for Gearlink Kawasaki alongside his teammate in bright green and orange, Ben Wilson. The third row of the grid headed by Sam Hornsey, who was looking very glum at dinner last night because he didn't have such a good ride in the rerun after running 6th early on, ahead of Joe Collier and Marshall Neal. And the final, well, the 4th row of the grid, Jamie Perrin, Dean Hipwell and James Rispoli. Behind them, incidentally, we've got Danny Webb, Paul Curran and Sam Coventry. We've got Freddie Pett, Bjorn Estbent and Guy Martin on the 6th row of the grid. So a lot to play for. And can we mention Kath Sanders, the mum of our sound engineer, Dave Sanders. It's Kath's 65th birthday today. Happy birthday, dear.
Happy birthday.
And probably already had one for 5 years, actually. You can get the bus pass at 60, I think, when you're of a female persuasion. So, number 7, Jake Dixon on pole position. 2nd place for number 8, Luke Stapleford. 2 triumphs there alongside Andy Reid, the Ulsterman, setting that 3rd fastest lap during the race, even though he finished down in 5th place. Ready for the off. So crucial here. Great start by the men in pole and 3rd positions. Not such a good start for yesterday's winner, Luke Stapleford. But Stapleford, look at that! He pulls it out the back, and Ben Wilson typically elbows out the Lincolnshireman, bashes his way through to 2nd place as they set off through Hollywood and down Craner curves. Glenn Owen, his teammate, is pushed back to 4th place. So as they launch down towards the old hairpin, it's Stapleford, Wilson, Dixon, Irwin, Reid and Ride.
Yeah, nice to see everyone safe through there. It's always a little bit hairy, and you actually saw Irwin went back. Reid got quite a good start, but just got a little bit beaten up down Craners and just got pushed back by both Irwin and Ride.
Luke Stapleford is obviously, his confidence must be booming after yesterday's performance, and he's just taken off initially at the front, looking really strong on the Profile Racing Triumph. So leading the way then, you'll notice that there are different coloured plates. The yellow plate, the yellow backgrounds to the numbers indicate the Evo bikes. The leading one of them is once again Joel Collier in 8th place, Marshall Neal in 9th, Jamie Perrin in 10th. So they're looking strong early on in this race once again. Whoa, big moment there as he clips the curve for American James Rispoli, number 43.
Yeah, he's done well, come from 12th. What is he? He's up to 8th already. And just as they pull around the Melbourne Loop, and Stapleford, your winner, his granddad came up to me as I was coming off the grid and gave me a pat on the back of the wink and said he's going to win it again. So he's doing the right way about it so far.
The family's confident then, and they were certainly enjoying themselves in the Indian restaurant in Castle Donington last night. The whole team was there. I've never seen this young man, Luke Stapleford, looking so absolutely joyously happy. He's leading the way then, Stapleford from Wilson and Dixon. Kyle Ride has got past Glenn Owen and Andy Reid. Oh, someone's gone down on the exit there, and that's number 94, Sam Hornsey. Hornsey has gone down on the 2nd of those orange and black Profile Racing Triumphs. What a shame from the Shropshire lad. So he lay 6th when the red flags went out yesterday. Only managed to finish 11th in the race, but he's cast it away early in this one. So a disappointing end to the weekend then for Sam Hornsey. He was running there in 7th place behind that man in black, Andy Reid.
Yeah, and look at Ben Wilson. Ben Wilson's just moved up to 2nd now, and we spoke to him on the grid. He's always hungry, always super aggressive, and he's getting back in the swing on things. This is his class, as he mentioned, and I think Ben Wilson's very up for this race.
James, I mean, do we know?
Here's Dixon.
Dixon comes from way back on the brakes there to assault Wilson into the foggy S's. Oh, and Wilson tries to get back inside him,
and it comes Ride.
The super aggressive Lincolnshireman cuts back inside his younger rival, backs it in. Oh, brilliantly steep and late into Melbourne, just leaves a gap for Dixon to scrape through, and Dixon does scrape through back into 2nd place. Oh dear me! And Kyle Ride wants a piece of this. He's trying to get inside Wilson, but has to sit it up on the way into Goddard's.
That was close round there. All these guys not willing to give an inch, and they can't. They're just learning to race with each other, and if you're known to be weak, they will just exploit you. So you've got to push on. Look at Irwin there, backing it in, just a little bit too sideways. That was the 5th bike in your picture. The 2nd of the 2 gear link Kawasaki's.
Do we know why Ben Wilson just went off the boil slightly later in the race yesterday, James? Because he was really hot in the early stages, and that of course was a sprint race. This is a full 18-lapper.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't catch up with him until on the grid there, but I think part of it, a lot of these guys are still doing the testing as they, he's dropped back down again, and they're getting the bike set up as a different temperature, so it's just been changing all the time.
Andy Reid just being slightly dropped off the back of the top 5 here, with Glenn Owen in 5th place. Just ahead of him, the very impressive Kyle Ride, the former 125 champ, number 77, who just sat right in there on the Pace Days, Track Days Yamaha in its distinctive yellow livery. back up the road a bit. There's the second of Keith Flint's bikes running on his own, really. Rispoli in 6th place, and then this bunch behind. This is the battle for honours in the Evo Championship with young Collier there leading the way. Joe Collier leads the way, but look at this lot all over. Oh, and down goes it, that Marshall Neal. One of the Evo bikes has gone down. That was a mistake that he's obviously very, very put out about.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating like that, because the bike's probably all right, but the rules say you're not allowed to pick it up and restart anymore, so, you know, a mistake like that is costing you everything.
And I'm just wondering, and we've lost Jamie Perrin, so was it Perrin that went down there? It was Jamie Perrin who went down there. What a shame. And that meant we'd already... Yeah, Marshall Neal still in there in 10th place. I beg his pardon. It was Jamie Perrin who held his hands in dismay. He'd pushed through into 2nd place in the Evo class. So the dash downhill, and, well, you've got to say, Luke Stapleford. Jake Dixon has just set the fastest lap of the race, James, 1:32.291. I just wonder if that means that that young man is on the move. It's not as fast as he did yesterday. He did a 1:31.6 yesterday.
You know what? He did a similar sort of thing yesterday. He dropped back a little bit. Just took him a while just to get in his game. And then when he came on song beautifully. And he's doing the same thing now. He's just pulling away from Wilson and Ride and Irwin, and he's just getting his groove in. Remember, he's on a Triumph as well, just like the bike in front of Stapleford, and looks so comfortable on it. You know, was hampered sometimes last year with a few problems, whereas this year, you know, he's looking like him and the Smith Triumph are going to be a real package to be reckoned with. Yeah, as is Stapleford.
Kyle Ride there was so keen to find a way inside Wilson. He tried on the previous lap to go at Goddard's, and he snatches it back. This time he does make the move through into 3rd place. So Stapleford, Dixon and Kyle Ride are at the front as they cross the line. Kyle Ride, very much the super sport class rookie here, running now in 3rd place, ahead of the 2 Gearlink Kawasaki's who are backing their way in at the end of the straight there. And Andy Reid just about holding the pace of the men in front of him, but ahead of his teammate James Rispoli.
Kyle Ride might well be the youngest, one of the youngest at 17, and you know, rookie to this class, but he's just set the fastest lap of the race, and you know, he looks to be, since he's got past Wilson, he is already in the middle of bridging that gap. And look at Irwin just come underneath his teammate there, Ben Wilson. A nice tight move just as they peel here into McLean's.
That was a pretty good move through Starkeys, though. Ben Wilson then suffering at the hands of his younger teammate, and the 2 Gearlink Kawasaki's now locked together there in 4th and 5th places. And Andy Reid will be the next man who will be fancying his chances of getting on terms with them. Fastest lap for Kyle Ride, 1:32.13. That means that he's closed the gap a bit on the long-time leader, and Kyle Ride is coming after those 2. There's Speedy Reedy just in the background in black behind those 2, and Rispoli having made a good... Rispoli was confident he could come through from where he was on the grid.
Did you see Irwin then? It was juddering, and he had it completely sideways, just hooking it in as he slid it into to the Melbourne Loop. This is going to be a quick lap of Kyle Ride's, I think.
It is.
Third bike in the picture, the yellow bike. Yeah, he is closed in. Let's have a little look as he crosses the line.
Could be the first sub at 1:32, and it is 1:31.717. The only guy to dip below the 1:32s, and he does it in style. Kyle Ride there.
And that is just 2/10 off the outright lap record, so that is a good lap.
So once again, the dash through Hollywood and down into Craner Curves, and Kyle Ride not quite as quick down there as those 2 times as Jake Dixon moved for the lead and gets in time inside Luke Stapleford by less than a wheel's length as they go.
It's not over yet, right over the curves as well. That was brave. But look at Ride, he's having a sniff as well.
We're only on the 6th lap of 18 here, so just approaching 1/3 race distance in the 2nd of the Motorpoint British Super Sport Championship races of the weekend.
Now, it's the first time that Dixon has led all weekend in anything, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do now. Now he's got a clear track and he can use the space and the lines that he wants. At the moment, you can see Stapleford's just to his outside, but he'll be quite happy with that. He can defend it from there.
Jake Dixon finished 8th on the Appleyard Macadam Dukes and Yamaha last year. Had quite a few, if you remember, really mysterious electrical problems that beset the bike on several occasions. but still ended up making the championship. He's got very wide, and this really lets give Stapleford a chance to get through. But the Triumph gets the power on from that sweeping, unintended line and holds on to the lead. Across the line now, this is going to be interesting because it looks to me as if the Gearlink Kawasaki's have begun to close up now that Kyle Ryde has crossed the leader, caught the leaders, and that was a 1:32.2 for Irwin in 4th place. He has set his fastest lap of the race to claw his way back into contention. Ups a daisy, and that doesn't look terribly good for the number 87 machine. That's Vito Iannuzzo, the veteran of World Superbike and World Supersport Racing, the Italian on the Qingdao Hampshire MV Augusta. He and Luke Jones are taking those MVs to the factory and then on to Misano to try and sort a few things out with that troubled bike next week, in fact, before we go to Brands Hatch.
Yeah, well, if they can give them anything like they can give
Cluzel
and the World Supersport, then yeah, that would be a journey well worth doing.
And this is really closed up now. They've bunched right up here at the front as Luke Stapleford and Kyle Ryde take a look at the inside line there. But Dixon is late on the brakes into Foggies.
And doesn't his bike look comfortable on the brakes there when he's braking late? You know, it just looks a little bit firmer, and it looks like he can just hold a brake later while still keeping it nice on line. It's not backing in too much. It looks like he's got a really good setup there, but all the while, you know, that pace just a fraction off. It's allowed Irwin and Ben Wilson to regroup. Ryde is still he's still just coming slightly as well in the back, but not quite there. But then we've got a 5-man battle.
So on to the 7th of 18 laps. This is a pretty long race for the Super Sport boys, particularly compared to that 10-lap dash that turned into a 6-lap dash yesterday after the red flags had drawn an early halt to proceedings. So on the 8th lap of 18, they now begin to enter fairly unknown territory here at Donington Park. Jake Dixon is a young man who's, he says it was inevitable he'd get interested in motorbikes. He said when you've got a dad who was a sidecar champion, European champion, world champion, and also won championships on 2 wheels, it would be pretty inevitable he'd be interested in motorcycles from a young age.
Yeah, no, you'd think so, and oh, here comes no Ryde. I could think about it, but didn't quite do it there on Stapleford. No, his dad was an absolutely brilliant, you know, back in the days on you know, the RG 500s as well. As I remember him winning the Paget's ones of those, and an amazing rider. Runs in the family.
Kyle Ryde's a pretty amazing rider. Do you see the way he trimmed the curve there on the exit to Coppice? He's really and drifting it with both wheels. A lad who, well, I suppose he started riding mini motos when he was 6, James, so even though he's only 17, he's had 11 years of experience on tarmac.
And he's already a double British champion at 17.
Yes.
So, no, he is a real talent. And, you know, this is a big step coming up to the Supersport. And, you know, he's made it with ease. He was impressive in his debut last year for those couple of races, you know, getting in the top 8, and for him to come in here and already start. And more importantly, he looks smooth. He always looks calculated. He's not one to, you know, you just feel like the cogs are clicking, like he's giving himself plenty of time to suss out what he wants to do, and that's rare for a 64. Have we got there, Chris
Halliwell?
Yeah.
So the Phoenix race team will have to rise from the ashes next time out.
Well,
here he
goes. Probably going to be the front. He's just a bit wide, just keeping a bit too much brake. He didn't want to lose the apex, and down he went.
James, a mishap like that can often be down to the fact that you just get yourself almost a matter of inches offline on the entrance.
Yeah, and definitely when the track's, you know, first race of the year, the track's a little bit green in places. It does get, you know, and there's a line gets cut through. You go a little bit wide like he was. It's dustier, it's dirtier, and there's not the grip there. And, you know, especially when you're still trying to keep the brake on and get it hooked up, you just lose grip and bang, you're down.
Jake Dixon not able to escape the clutches then of Sinopes number 8. Luke Stapleford thinks about, no, he just sits in behind Jake Dixon. He says, of course, we're only on to the 9th of 18 laps, so we're just about at half distance. So there's a lot of racing to be done yet here at Donington Park between this gang.
There's a lot of racing, and once again, just like we saw in the Superbikes, with the temperature having changed slightly, you know, this is going to be the warmest conditions these guys have ridden Donington in. So tyre wear in this latter part of the race is something that will come in. Obviously, they don't wear it as much as a Superbike because they're lighter and they don't have the same power. But you know, it still could be a critical thing.
Dixon leads the way. Guy Martin's just outside the points. He's in 17th place on the second of the Smiths Triumphs. And he's behind some of those battling Evo bikes. Collier and Neil 10th and 11th, and then Sam Coventry 13th ahead of Josh Day. We've got Day, Pett, Escmont, and then Guy Martin in 17th place. The yellow there denotes the Evo machines. And as we look back over, and this is the sort of gang that Guy Martin is. I love it when he said to you his aim for the race was probably to get to the finish, James.
Well, I like the way I asked him the first question. He spoke about his hair for like a minute.
There he is, Guy Martin, trying to peer through that great mop of Lincolnshire hair beneath that black helmet in those black Dainese leathers as he drives downhill, in amongst, like, really buried in amongst some really you've got to say, fairly aggressive youngsters. There's Bjorn Esmond just ahead of him. There's Freddie Pett, Day and Curran, and Phil Wakefield just behind him there on the Sandbach Scrap Metal Services bike. Look at that, a big move by number 57, Levi Day, downhill. He moves through into 12th place. And Danny Webb's in that mix as well, look. Danny Webb, number 66, experienced Grand Prix rider.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, these guys having a good scrap, but they are like 3-4. Oh, Stableford's made a mistake at the loop there. You can see he's lost the space, and he might lose one more from... Oh, yes, he does. Yes, he does. Look, you don't have to ask Kyle Wright. He's going to lift him up.
Kyle Wright lifts up Glenn Irwin big time, almost tips him into Stapleford.
Do you know what? He didn't have a choice there in the end. He had the right move. If he had done anything else but let the brakes off and go in, he was going to bring them all down. So that was sometimes, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's harsh, and Glenn Irwin was the big loser, but he was committed then to outbraking Stapleford, and then he was caught in a bit of no man's land. He had to let the brakes off, had to beat them to the apex, and that way they all three got round it. But that has given this man, Jake Dixon, a real little advantage.
Well, Jake Mason being absolutely delirious with his second place yesterday, but look at this, he could go one better. He's got Kyle Ride now in pursuit on the Yamaha, chased by Stapleford and Glenn Irwin. The battle behind them for 5th place involving Ben Wilson and Andy Reid there.
Yeah, and that is the battle.
Oh,
that's a nice little lead. That's 1.3 seconds. Yeah, 1.3 seconds at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see if Kyle Ride can do anything to close that back in, but he won't know he's got that breathing space yet. Here comes Stapleford. He's having a look, but no, can't quite make it stick.
I think Kyle Ride, with the empty track in front of him, could just actually pull back the race leader at this point. He's been setting some pretty impressive laps, let's see. But of course, if he gets involved in this, that's not going to help his lap times one little bit. So as these guys start to chop one another around and about, and Jake Dixon just will maintain that breathing space at the front.
Yeah, well, this time round, his team will have got it on the board. You know, +1, which is always, as a rider, is lovely to see. You know, when you know you've got a second, so you can actually stop worrying about taking any defensive lines, and take the exact, fastest, best line that you possibly can. And, yeah, that is nice.
They're giving him +4, which is just a faint exaggeration of +1. Well, actually, it said the gap was 1.3 as they went across the line, James, nearer what you had estimated.
Well, I think it was might have been 0.4, just giving him a half second. Not, you know, they didn't want to give him sort of too much, but you know, he's got even more of that. Oh, that's bad. That's
Dean Hipwell.
That could well. That is. Well, we'll have to have a little look on that. It looks. That's going. That's going into the S's, I think.
Yeah, I think he's on
sorry,
he's off the track.
Unusual. No, it's off the track. Oh, sorry, it's off the track, the final corner. Sorry, it's got odds. It was a really weird angle. You don't ever see the camera. But luckily, that's offline, so it won't affect anything. So that was unlucky because he had a good ride yesterday as well.
Yeah, so Dean Hipwell then goes out. Number 74 on the CDH Racing Triumph. And at the front, Jake Dixon. Look at this. Now then, I'll tell you who's riding impressively hard, Glenn Irwin, because there are moments when he's losing the front of that Kawasaki and picking it back up again, and look, snaking around on the brakes, going for the inside line on Kyle Ride. And not only has he got to control the Kawasaki, keep it where he wants on track, he's got to make sure that Ride stays put behind him. But Kyle will come straight back on the inside into Goddard. He's done that before to Glenn Irwin. He does it again.
Yeah, he's so confident there as well. A little foot dangle. He knows exactly how much feel, how much grip he's got, and you know, it's very easy to crash at Goddard. It's a little bit bumpy on the way in. It's slightly off camber, so it's a very, very measured move.
The fastest lap of Jake Dixon's race, James, at the front as we watch this again. Oh, and that's what happened. That's how Dean Hitwell pitched himself off in that awkward downhill entrance to Goddard's. Jake Dixon, fastest lap of his race, James, 1:32.099. He's just done it.
Yeah, when you start, you do, as I say, you start to thrive on that sort of gap. When you start to see it increase a bit as well, and this will be just what he wants to see. And you can see in front of him there, he's just going to start coming through the back markers as well. So that could be really handy on a track like Donington. You start putting those between them, or they catch them wrong through the S's at the loop. So, you know, he's going to have the chance to get through quite ruthlessly and with a bit of time.
So what he's looking like is he might go from, whoops, as he just a quick glance over the shoulder there of right shoulder for Matt Coles on the MCM Services Triumph. Just allows plenty of room, bless him, lets everybody come through. And this lad, well, after following his first rostrum up, to follow it up with a race win, that's progress of a big kind, isn't it, here at Donington?
Yeah, it looks great, that Smith's Triumph as well. I really love the colours of it. You know, the blue and white, it just looks really classy, very sharp, easy to pick out.
I've actually started to see their wagons on the motorways as well, looking equally splendid. And you think, oh, look, there's that familiar logo. As they go round Goddard's then in second place, Luke Stapleford, yesterday's sprint race winner. Third place, number 77, Kyle Wright. Fourth place, number 69, Glenn Irwin.
Yeah, Glenn Irwin just set his fastest lap of the race, as did Dixon again. So Dixon is circulating. Again, it was only just a fraction of a second, but another fastest lap of the race for Dixon. So the leader doing everything he can. That lead is up to 1.5 seconds, and they're all circulating much of a muchness, really, time-wise.
So Dixon, who turned 19 on the 15th of January, lad from Dover, about as far down into the southeastern corner of the United Kingdom as you could get. And I only ever saw his dad race once, and that was in an international supermoto race at Lyddon, which of course is very much their local track down in Kent. Meanwhile, this battle going on for the Evo Championship as they come storming down into Redgate. Number 57, Levi Day there. There's several days. It's very mixed up because you've also got Josh Day, the Cirencester lad on the Ruby Racing Triumph in there as well. So we've got several days in this race. Well, two of them anyway. Down the long drop there of Craner Curves. This the battle for 11th place. The leader of the Evo class, Joe Collier, lies up the track ahead of these guys in 9th place. But this involves Marshall Neal, Levi Day, Josh Day, Freddie Pett, Bjorn Estman, Paul Current in there, Guy Martin towards the back of it there, just ahead of Sam Coventry now.
Yeah, these guys, you know, as we say, just circulating sort of 3-4 seconds off what the leaders are doing. Obviously, the Evo bikes are in a lesser state of tune than the actual full Supersport bikes.
You would imagine that Guy Martin's quite enjoying this, isn't he? You've got a grandstand view of these lot as we watch number 57, Levi Day, just push back past his namesake once again. So the guy from Mount Gambier in Australia on the CPE Motorsport Kawasaki back into that 11th place.
Guy Martin there, as you can see, the number 5. Obviously, he's riding an identical bike to Jake Dixon, who's leading the race. There's Jake Dixon, the man we're talking about. And that gap looks like it's come down a bit. It has. It's come down by 0.3. Kyle Ryder, 1:31.7. Quickest lap of the race on that last lap. So, and that is just a couple of tenths. And Dixon there, a little bit of a slide coming out onto the back straight.
So dropping down the hill, Luke Stapleford is strong in second place, but not as yet able to really make big inroads on that lead. That astonishing style of his where he lifts the outside leg off the foot peg. It looks alarming every time you see it in close-up like that. Cuts across the bows of the yellow Yamaha. Thou shalt not pass. Yamaha not quite got the grunt up the hill just then to get on terms with the Triumph and go underneath him into Goddard's as he's been able to do with the Kawasaki of Glenn Irwin.
Yeah, the Triumph, obviously a 3-cylinder triple, 675 compared to the Yamaha's 600 as well, and that little, you never substitute a bit of CC, just that little bit of extra grunt. And you know, it did win the championship last year, the Smith's Triumph, and the Triumphs have been a really good package in this class. But as you can see with young Kyle Ryde, the fours of the Yamaha there and the man behind him, Irwin on the Kawasaki, are both doing well. And this is the other battle, another Kawasaki and another Yamaha.
And Ben Wilson has done really well to keep Andy Reid, last year's Superstock 600 runner-up, behind him for so long, because that's been quite a squabble.
It has, and now I'll tell you what, that's going to be a hard last lap battle, isn't it, between those two?
This is two aggressive chaps together, you might say. Andy Reid a little bit detuned at the beginning of the weekend, James, because a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of changes you can make to a super sport bike, and feeling like he hadn't really got to grips with it as well as he'd expected to.
Well, I think he's done a fantastic job so far, you know. I think he's put it on the front row, he's running in the top 6, and you know, Ben Wilson is a serious marker in this class, and you can run with him, then you are doing brilliant. And he's just starting off, you know, he's going to take a while to get the bike working. Look at Go Ride, just quite late, he's going to go a bit wide. Stableford try and square it off, use all the track and force him onto the force him wide, which he did. So remember, as we start now, we're going to just be starting the penultimate lap as Jake Dixon crosses the line. Lap 17 they're just beginning with now. So it's these guys. Dixon's just doing everything he can. Let's have a look at that, 1.6. So he's got that comfy. That was his fastest lap of the race, Dixon, 1:31.8.
That's his first sub-32 lap. Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant time to do it.
Yeah, it is a great time to do it, but he doesn't need to. He's got a good lead here. And again, there's another back marker he's just about to pass. You can see Dixon there as he slips up the inside. That's perfect. They're going to hit him. That's perfect for Dixon, because the others are going to hit him coming up here, and they should probably just cost him a little bit of time.
Luke Stableford looking loose and quick there as he came round the old hairpin. As I said, the whole team, I mentioned earlier, the whole team, and his teammate Sam Hornsey and his team manager, the former Superstock FAU winner Tristan Treacle-Palmer, were having a whale of a time at the Gandhi Indian restaurant in Castle Donington last night. Thoroughly enjoying the fact that they'd won yesterday. It looks like they're going to go 1-2 rather than 2 race wins here, as Carl Ride cuts past the back marker and drops down the hill underneath the ghost of the Dunlop Bridge. Glenn Irwin still, as you would expect, the Tiger, a man with the nickname the Tiger, hasn't given up on getting onto that rostrum again as he did yesterday.
No, he hasn't yet. I think none of these guys have given up. Obviously, that is, they're fighting for second, third and full, so someone is not going to be on the podium, and it makes so much difference when you're riding. But he's got a little bit of a work to do at the moment, because I think that Ride and Stableford just look like they're a fraction more comfortable.
Stableford then in second place. Let's check the gap as Dixon crosses the line. Now he's got a lead of 1.7 seconds, and he sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:31.68. How impressive is that from the 19-year-old who finished 8th in last year's championship? He's just pouring the coals on in the closing stages.
That is very impressive. You know, just over a 10th off the outright lap record, and you know, he's got a big lead though now. He can just you know, he's got 1.7 seconds. You know, half a lap left, 3/4 of a lap left, but he's doing a very, very good job there.
And Stableford did a 1:31.77, James, so he'd actually really hotted his pace up at the same time. So the 2 triumphs then really resolving this race. Oh, these back markers, are they going to be far enough ahead or not?
No, well, let's have a little look coming out of here. I think he might. I'm not sure the second pack might catch him, but I think he probably will at Goddard's by the looks of it. But it looks like it's probably going to be just about, unless something happens now, it looks like that's about what it's going to be, because I don't think Stableford's got a bit on Ride, and Ride's got a bit on Irwin.
And a terrific ride then by the 19-year-old from Dover, who's ever smiling, cheerful. He's going to be smiling even more when he's accomplished this victory, because it looks like those 3 back markers are just sufficiently far ahead to stay out of the way. As they drop into Goddard's, then Jake Dixon will not really need to overtake them. He might be keen to, but he doesn't need to. He rockets out of Goddard's and follows up yesterday's second place with his maiden win in the British Supersport Championship, ahead of Luke Stableford and an exhilarated Kyle Ride. Glenn Irwin comes across the line next, and Andy Reid snatches. Oh, does he? Did he raise them? But no, he just got there, didn't he? By 200ths of a second. Wow. After flicking an early wheelie as he got the better of Ben Wilson. James Rispoli on the second of the team traction control Yamahas comes across the line in 7th place, and I think Harry Hartley, the Burnley Hare, might be next over the line, number 55 on the Appleyard McAdam Dukes and Yamaha. There he is, crossing the line in 8th place, and Joe Collier, the first Evo bike home, will cross the line in 11th place overall, ahead of number 99 Danny Webb in 10th place. Meantime, this battle that involves the second Smith's triumph of Guy Martin. We've got Marshall Neal across the line now. The 41-year-old Irishman is the second Evo bike home, and this lot will involve the battle for the third Evo bike home, and I think it's going to be the Australian Levi Day. Is it? Yes, Levi Day does get that third place in the Evo class, crossing the line ahead of Esmond, Day, Pett, Curran, Guy Martin 17th and Sam Coventry in 18th place. Well done, Guy, enjoying his return to the BSB paddock. Jake Dixon then, the race winner, his first victory in the World Supersport, in the British Supersport Championship for Smith's Triumph, and sets the fastest lap to boot. Tell you what, he was, when we saw him on our way out of the paddock yesterday late afternoon, he was in a very jolly state of mind there, and I just think that that degree of jollity will have been wound up even further. Terrific result for Rebecca Smith and the whole team.
Yeah, well, they work hard and they run a brilliant team there, and you know, he's done the job. You know, he didn't lose his head. He kept his time. He took his time, got to the front, and just sneaked away. It's a great result as he does a nice burnout, and well deserved as well. You know, he leads the championship now, and well, actually, so no, he's joint leader, isn't he? So him and Stapleford share the honours, and that's a great result.
45 points apiece they'll have at the end of that, with a win and a second place apiece. So the feature race in the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship, incorporating the British Supersport Evo Championship, Jake Dixon wins it from Luke Stapleford. Triumph 1-2 ahead of Kyle Ride's Yamaha. Glenn Irwin 4th, Andy Reid nicking that 5th place from Ben Wilson's Gearlink Kawasaki on the last lap, with his teammate James Rispoli in 7th ahead of Harry Hartley. And the first Evo bike home, Joe Collier, splendid ride on the Haribo Star Mix Triumph. Marshall Neal was the second Evo bike home, the veteran Irishman beating Levi Day, who headed home a colossal struggle, including Bjorn Estman, Josh Day, Freddie Pett, and indeed Guy Martin on the second Smith's Triumph. The standings after those two races of this weekend, Luke Stapleford and Jake Dixon share top spot for their respective Triumph teams with a 16-point advantage over Glenn Irwin. Kyle Ride is level with Irwin in 3rd place. Andy Reid on 22 points is 5th ahead of Ben Wilson in 6th place. And Joe Collier overall has an excellent 16 points for Haribo Star Mix and leads the Evo Championship from Marshall Neal. Harry Hartley has 8 points, so too Levi Day, with Jamie Perrin unlucky to fall in that race, 13th overall, with Danny Webb, who's been a little disappointing so far, but I'm sure there's more to come from him.